the child together with an exact same story. There's a mother, a female animal, that also had its arms sticking out. The shadchan over here just matches by arms sticking out. Of the say, oh, you had the arm sticking out. Oh, I have another animal here with the arm sticking out. There's like the stein. It's just like the shidduch. So, what's the halacha? Watch this. Of the child that comes out of this. Aver moiled aver. Does the arm give birth to the next arm? In the arms, we're talking about the genetic material here, comes that the arms. Remember this thing in high school, the Weissman barrier? I said it was called the Weissman barrier, where the Weissman barrier was the giraffes. People thought because they have to eat the leaves on the acacia trees, they lift their neck up higher and higher. So over generations, the neck got taller. But they said that the Jewish people, they read a lot. So over many generations, the children need glasses, things like that. So they said the Weissman barrier was that the DNA affects proteins, and the proteins don't affect the DNA. In other words, what you do doesn't change your genes. That's what they said. It's called the Weissman barrier. That it only works one way.
It's like a protocol. What is that?
That's what his logic was. I think it's been disproven since then that there are. It does work the other way also. That there are things that can affect. I listened to a lecture once. Does a Baal Tshuva change his genetic makeup? That was like just a provocative. Anyway, does the limb of the mother and the father create the limb of the child? So then I just cut off that limb, and the rest of the animal is permissible, because the rest of the mother and the father were permissible. Oy dilma, mevalvel zare. Or do we say that it's all mixed in? That the mother's limb and the father's arm, they're involved in creating the entire embryo of the child. You hear Rabbi Yirmiyah's question? Is it the arm in the arm that creates the arm of the child, and then you just cut off the arm? Notice everything is perfectly clean here. That arm makes the arm of the child, you just cut that off? Or do we say that no, the entire makeup of the mother and father create the child? Okay. Hadar Amar, Rabbi Yirmiyah goes back and says, Pshita de mevalvel zari. You have to say that the child is formed from every part of the mother and the father, and not that the arm creates the arm. The imkain, because if you would say like that the arm creates the arm, so then the imkain summa yolid summa. Every blind person has a child. The child would have to be blind. The kiteya yolid kiteya. So when that has a missing limb or a limp or something, the child would have to limp, and it's not so. Ela pshita de mevalvel zare. It must be that it mixes in, that it's all mixed in. How would we explain this today? That the recessive, we would mix in the recessive in the genetic makeup. It doesn't mean that it's what is it called? Phenotype. Phenotype. What gets expressed isn't necessarily the genes.
This is even weirder because a blind, to give birth to a blind is a possibility because there is a genetic. But for an amputee to give birth to an amputee, right, that's not a genetic. Right. You don't inherit the amputation.
Right. Right. So that's the that Weissman barrier, that it doesn't affect your genes just because something happened to the person in his life. Right? So here's the question. This is the question of Rabbi Yirmiyah. Behema ba'alma, a regular animal. Lav mikaya chela v'dam kasya v'sharya. See, look, the mother and the father are partially forbidden. Why? Because inside the mother is blood, and inside the mother is forbidden fats. Inside the father is blood and forbidden fats. And these forbidden fats are involved in the procreation of the child. The child's coming from partially forbidden material. And it's still permissible to eat the child. So hachanami leishna. Here also, so what that the arm is forbidden? So what? It's another part that's forbidden. Big deal. When it gets born, when it goes through this process of birth, it becomes permissible. A dilma, or maybe trei suri amrina. We only allow this for two prohibitions. But tlasalay amrinan. Now you're throwing in a third prohibition here of the arm that was sticking out at the. Okay. Gemara now asks Suleiman, who are you going according to? Eily Reb Meir. If you're going according to Reb Meir, Isser Chela V'Dam Ika Isser Yotzi Leka. Reb Meir holds that a full term is not considered a ben pekua. A full term child that's in the mother is not considered permissible because it was ready to be born. It's not considered part of the. So we're saying here that according to Reb Meir, this child now it has the prohibitions of this child that's now born. It was in the mother when it was shechted, but Reb Meir doesn't consider it a ben pekua because it was full term. So it has in it forbidden fats and blood. But it doesn't have the prohibition of the arm sticking out because it needs a regular shechita. So according to Reb Meir, we have no problem here. Eily Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, which that's the case that we're dealing with, Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's a ben pekua. Isser Yotzi Yika. According to Rabbi Yehuda, I have the prohibition of the arm. The arm went out. And the arm does require shechita. The rest of the fetus doesn't. That ikka. But Isser Chela V'Dam Leka. But I don't have the prohibition of the fat in the blood. I'm not sure if the blood is supposed to be there. Isser Chela Leka. There's no forbidden fat by a ben pekua, according to this. According to Rabbi Yehuda's opinion right here, by a ben pekua, the child that's inside the mother's womb doesn't have the prohibition of the forbidden fats. You can eat all the forbidden fats. This is a chiddush.
Ben pekua?
Ben pekua is the child that's inside the mother when it's the mother shechted.
It's just okay. That's what it's called.
Yeah. What is the term pekua? I don't know. Paka means to pop out. That's what it means. It's a child that pops out after the shechita. Ditanan, as was taught in the Mishnah, it's really a brisa. You have to edit this. It's supposed to be the Tanya. Gid anasha naig b'shlil v'chel bayaser. The gid anasha. It applies to the embryo, and the fat is also forbidden. Divrei Reb Meir, because Reb Meir holds that it's not a ben pekua, because it's full term. Rabbi Yehuda may naig b'shlil. Rabbi Yehuda holds no. There's no gid anasha here. And there's no chelav v'chel by mutter. So we're talking about, according to Rabbi Yehuda, how many prohibitions do I have here when this animal that's born, that has its arm sticking out, and now it mates with another animal, let's say it's exactly the same or whatever, mates with another animal, how many prohibitions? I only have one prohibition. I don't have three prohibitions because I don't have the chelav and the dam. Or maybe I do have the dam. But I'm missing one. I only have two prohibitions. Ella, rather, kol mikayach le'amrinan. We don't say mikayach. We don't say because it comes from something forbidden, and contained inside the mother and the father is a prohibition. We don't say that that's going to prohibit the child. Vishari, and therefore it's permissible.
Like the chelav, you mean?
Like the chelav. V'achikam mibaylan. Here's our question. Ma'al l'gmaya es chalbay. I hear you have to read it carefully. Eschalvai. What about drinking the milk? Interesting question. Let's say it's a female animal that it gives birth to. So, I have a ben pekua that was this embryo. The mother was shechted, And now you have this child, the female animal, and the female has milk in the udder.
Alive?
Yeah, the child comes out alive. Child comes out alive.
And it has milk in its udder.
And well, not yet, but as it grows up, as it grows up, it gets milk. Now, am I allowed to now drink the milk? Cholav de alma, like ever menachai dami. Drinking milk has there's a question about milk. It's a limb. It's not a limb, but it's coming off a living animal. It's ever menachai. We have a special exemption for milk. Eretz Zavas Chalav Dvash, the Gemara B'Cheira says that it comes from. We learn it that it has to be permissible because it says Israel's land that flows with milk and honey. It has to be that the milk is permissible, but really it's coming from a living animal. That could be a problem. But nevertheless,
you said the milk is I'm sorry. Even in a high, what is it that the milk is?
Milk comes from a living animal. But nevertheless, it's permissible. So Hainami Leishna. This also, okay, what's the problem? This is milk. Drink the milk. Or maybe, over there it's different. Over there, there's a way of making this animal not an Ever Menachai by doing Shchita. So that potential, that later on I'll do Shchita on it, somehow that's associated with the permissibility of drinking the milk. But this one, I'm not able to do shchita on. It has a problem here. The arm, you can't do shchita on. So maybe because it doesn't have that potential, so maybe you can't drink milk of a ben pekua. Let's just take him. Okay. This is quite an experience, huh? The Yermia's question.
That's why they named your brother, Rabbi. Menachem. He's got all the good questions.
I didn't understand the basis of this entire discussion. Here's my question. If a treifa male and a treifa female mate, procreate, is what they produce treif?
Yeah, well, actually, we said that treifa ain't a moiled. I think a treifa animal can't give birth.
But I thought we defined treif as something that will die within
die.
a year.
But I think we also said that treifa ain't a moiled. So I think that could be a proof that it's not a real treifa. I'm not sure. That was a discussion that we mentioned. But yeah, that would come into play here as well.
Okay, and if a tame animal mates with another tame animal?
Well, an animal can't be tame. A live animal can't be tame.
Right, Nevela you can shaft, you told me, and Treifa you can't.
We're going to see in Bechairos
That's what I was talking about.
what animal is the main one. We have to wait for Bechairos, but there's going to be a discussion about if different types of animals mate, and they have children, what status they have.
So you're saying by definition, if it can mate, it's not a
It
treifa?
would be a treifa, I think.
Only humans can be tame a lot.
But let's say yes. Let's say it could. Would this come into play here? We said kol mikayach. All these other prohibitions aren't a problem. That was our conclusion. Kol mikayach is not a problem. Okay. Oh my gosh. They say, we'll turn this off. They Rabbi